My name is Adam, and what happened to me 3 years ago changed the way I look at people forever. I had just finished a late shift at a small electronics store in Dayton. It was almost 11:30 at night, the kind of hour where the whole city feels like it's holding its breath. My coworkers had already left, and I stayed back to finish some stock updates. When I stepped outside, the air felt heavy and cold. The parking lot was nearly empty, except for my old silver Honda, sitting under a flickering light. I remember getting this strange pull in my stomach, something quiet but sharp. The first S, sense. You know how your mind whispers something is wrong long before you understand it? That's what it was. I walked toward my car and I noticed something off. The driver's side door looked slightly open. Not wide enough to notice from far away, but enough that I felt sure I hadn't left it like that. I stopped walking. The breeze stopped too. Everything went dead still. I pulled out my phone to use the flashlight and leaned forward, shining it inside. Nothing looked disturbed. Nothing missing. I tried to convince myself I'd forgotten to shut the door properly. I reached for the handle. Right then I heard footsteps. Slow, crunching on gravel. They weren't behind me. They were to my right, coming from the row of cars that had no business being occupied at midnight. My heart kicked hard. I turned the flashlight and caught a glimpse of someone standing between two cars. A man, not moving, just standing with his head slightly tilted like he was studying me. His clothes were dark, but not in a way that blended into the night. His jacket had patches of some kind of dirt or dust. His hair was messy, like he'd been running his hands through it for hours. But the thing I remember most was his face. It wasn't angry. It wasn't blank. It was curious. The kind of curiosity that made my skin crawl. "Can I help you?" I asked, trying to sound confident, even though my voice shook. He didn't answer. Instead, he slowly stepped forward, then stopped again, almost like he was testing how close he could get. The second S, suspense. My breath got tight. My hands felt cold. My brain started picturing every possible thing that could go wrong. I stepped back and reached into my pocket for my keys. The man took one more step toward me, still silent, still staring. That's when I noticed something else. There was a folded piece of paper sticking out from under my windshield wiper. I had checked my car earlier during break, and it wasn't there. I glanced at the paper for just a second, and when I looked back at the man, he was closer. Too close. He hadn't walked, or at least I never heard him move. I opened my car door fast, jumped inside, and slammed it shut. My hand was shaking so badly, I dropped the keys. When I looked up, he was standing right in front of the car, staring at me through the windshield. He lifted his hand and pointed at me, not accusingly, just pointing, like marking something. I finally started the engine and reversed so fast the tires screeched. And even as I sped toward the exit, he didn't move. He just watched me. I should have driven home. I should have left it alone. But the third S shock was waiting for me in that piece of paper. I pulled over about a block away under a brighter streetlight because I needed to know what was on that note. My hand was sweating. My chest felt tight. I kept checking my mirrors, expecting to see him walking toward me. The paper was small, folded twice. My name was written on the outside. Not just Adam. My full name. Adam Reeves. My stomach dropped. Only my job documents or my apartment lease had my full name like that. I opened it. Inside, in small, careful handwriting, it said, "You left me behind on Friday. I'm coming with you this time." I froze. Left who behind? I didn't know anyone like him. I didn't remember ever seeing him before. But the handwriting looked deliberate, like someone who took their time. Just then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I picked it up with trembling fingers. A whisper. Not even a real voice. More like someone speaking through their teeth. "You shouldn't have run." I didn't say a word. I hung up and threw the phone on the passenger seat. I felt sick. I drove straight home, locked my doors, checked the windows twice. Every noise outside made me jump. I barely slept that night. The next morning I left for work early, hoping daylight would calm me down. But when I reached the store, the security guard stopped me. "Rough night?" He joked, seeing my eyes. I almost laughed, but then he pointed to something behind me. "Hey, Someone dropped this on the ground by your car." He handed me a small plastic bag. Inside was the same note I had read the night before. Same handwriting, same message, same fold. But I had left my copy in my apartment. I didn't understand how it was there again. I didn't understand why he kept returning it. My legs felt weak. I asked the guard if he'd seen anyone drop it. He shrugged. Only one guy passed through the lot earlier. Tall, messy hair, just kind of wandered around. I felt cold all over. I quit that job the following week. I changed my number. I moved apartments 6 months later. But here's the part one never told anyone. 2 months after moving, I walked out to my new parking spot one morning and found a note on my windshield. Same handwriting. No name this time. Just one sentence. "Fridays are ours." I called the police, but they couldn't do anything without proof. There were no cameras, no fingerprints, nothing. It's been 3 years. Every Friday night, without fail, I hear a single knock on my door around midnight. Not pounding, just one knock. Soft, patient. I never open it. I don't want to know what's waiting. But some nights I swear I hear breathing on the other side. And I get the feeling he's still waiting for me to let him in. I used to love quiet Friday nights. They felt like a small reward after a long week, a chance to reset. But after what happened last year, I still get tense whenever the sun starts dropping on a Friday evening. What I'm about to tell you is real. I've tried to explain it to people, but no one believes me. Maybe you will. That night, I was driving back from my friend Daniel's place. It was close to 11 p.m., and the highway outside our town in Ohio was almost empty. Cold air kept fogging the windshield, and the only light came from the occasional street lamp. I didn't like driving that stretch alone, but it was the fastest way home. About 15 minutes and my phone buzzed inside the cup holder. I glanced at it. Unknown number. At that time of night, that's never a good sign. I ignored it and kept driving. The call came again, then again, 3 times back to back. By the 4th call, something inside me tightened. I picked up but didn't speak. For a few seconds it was quiet. Then a low, shaky breath came through. Slow. Too slow to be normal. It sounded like the person was right inside the car with me. Then a whisper. "Stop the car." I hung up so fast my hand shook. I told myself it was a prank, maybe a cross line. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the voice sounded familiar. Not because I knew the person, but because it sounded like me. Same tone, same breath, just wrong. I tried to distract myself by turning up the radio. That's when the headlights behind me appeared. They came out of nowhere. One moment the road was empty, and the next a car was right on my tail. Too close. Their high beams hit my mirrors, forcing me to squint. I tapped the brakes. They tapped theirs. I sped up. They did too. Every move I made was mirrored perfectly. I reached for my phone to call Daniel, but before I could dial, it started ringing again. Same unknown number. I muted it and focused on driving. The other car inched closer and closer until I could no longer see their headlights, just white glare swallowing the rear window. Then they honked, a long, deep horn that felt like it vibrated through my spine. I turned onto the next exit, hoping to lose them, but they followed. I took another turn, then another. They stuck behind me every single time. My chest tightened. This wasn't random. Someone was following me. About a mile down the road narrowed and cut through a stretch of woods. No houses, no lights, no chance of help. My hands were sweating on the wheel. I wanted to pull over and run, but where? Into the trees? Into the dark? The phone rang again. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. The same whisper spoke. "Don't look in the mirror." That was enough. Panic finally took over. I jerked the wheel and turned onto a tiny side road I barely saw. The other car shot past, missing the turn. I floored it until the trees swallowed me. My heart was hammering so hard I could taste blood in my mouth. I thought I'd lost them. I was wrong. The side road led to an old service lane the county abandoned years ago. I'd been there once as a kid with my dad. Back then it felt peaceful. That night it felt like a trap. I parked deep under the trees, turned off the lights, and held my breath. My ears rang in the silence. I kept checking my mirrors, looking for headlights, movement, anything. After 2 minutes, my phone buzzed. Not a call this time. A message. "I can see you." I froze. Every instinct told me not to look outside, but I couldn't help it. I leaned forward and scanned the road behind me. Pitch black. No footsteps. No breathing. Just heavy silence. Another buzz. "Don't turn around." My skin crawled. I didn't know if the person was nearby, hiding in the trees, or behind my car. I kept gripping the wheel like it was the only thing holding me together. Then something hit the back of the car. A soft thud. I spun around instantly. Nothing. Just darkness and my own faint reflection in the rear window. But something about that reflection looked off. My face was there, but the expression wasn't mine. It was smiling. I whipped back around, pulse racing. I didn't want to understand what I'd just seen. I didn't even want to breathe. The phone buzzed again. Too slow. I started the engine and reversed, not caring what was behind me. The tires kicked up dirt and branches scraped the doors. I turned back onto the main road and sped out of the woods as fast as I could. I didn't look at the mirrors. I didn't answer the phone. I didn't slow down. When I reached town, I pulled into a gas station full of people. Bright lights. Cameras. Noise. The kind of place no one could stalk you without being seen. I parked and finally let myself breathe. For a minute, nothing happened. No calls. No messages. No followers. I checked the phone log. The unknown number wasn't there. Not the missed calls, not the texts, nothing. Like it never existed. I tried telling the cashier what happened, but halfway through my explanation, I heard the gas station door open behind me. Something told me not to turn around. That same heavy pressure in my chest from earlier. Then my phone buzzed one more time. New message. Next Friday. My legs almost gave out. I turned slowly toward the door. No one was there. It was just an empty entrance and the faint chime of the bell. I went home after that, but I didn't sleep. I sat up all night with every light in the house on. When the sun finally rose, the message disappeared from my phone, just like the others. That was months ago. And every Friday night since, I feel it. That same presence. That same pressure in my chest. Sometimes my phone buzzes once. No number. No message. Just a single vibration, like a reminder. I know what people think when I tell this story. They think I'm paranoid. They think I dreamed it. But I know the truth. Someone out there followed me that night. Someone out there whispered in my voice. Someone out there said they'd come back. And every Friday, I feel like I'm running out of time.